Hi, wrestling fans. This is Mad Matt Carter along with AIWF Hall of Famer Brian Danzig, telling you and reminding you about the most awesome, at least we think so, wrestling podcast there is. It's AIWF Ringside Wrestling, and it comes your way on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, just to name a few. Brian, they can also see it on YouTube, but the cool thing about our podcast, it's completely live and interactive every Sunday night on Facebook.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we get into all the news of AIWF, WWE, TNA, all of it. We don't just cover AIWF. We cover the whole spectrum of wrestling. You can comment. You can put comments in there. We'll answer your questions. It's a great time, and most of the time we're talking about wrestling. Sometimes it goes off the rails, and sometimes that's even more entertaining.
Yeah, that's part of the charm, I guess, of the show, right? So be sure to tune in anywhere you find your favorite podcast, on the AIWF Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel, and of course on Facebook, live on Sunday night for the most interactive wrestling podcast in the United States. It's AIWF Ringside Wrestling.
I got a question for you, Matt.
All right.
Which I know you hadn't seen. Well, actually, it's a question for everybody, and the ones you have seen will know what I'm talking about. Going back to the NWA thing, in their main event on this first episode, they had a hardcore match. I can't remember what they called it, but anyway, the minute the blood started flowing, they went to black and white.
Well, that's probably a CW thing.
You think so?
I mean, because
most of a network thing.
But it's on an app.
But it's still, I would say it's still run by the network because I think they're presenting it as a type of network show, like still presenting it as a television show, because they could be filling out to see how well it does before they would move it to like broadcast. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, like in general.
Well, I asked for opinions because my opinion is if you're going to dilute it like that, just don't bleed.
All right, I would agree. Don't bleed. But here's the thing. I think probably the reason they're doing the black and white thing, Reagan said you didn't need a login and password. You just download the app and go in there and start watching. So in their mind, they still are probably treating it as they would if it was airing on the regular TV. Mm-hmm. Like, if y'all want to bleed, that's cool, but we're going to switch it to black and white. That way you realize something bad is happening.
Which to me is ridiculous. You can still see somebody is bleeding.
Yeah.
It's just in black and white.
Somebody else did that.
Right.
Some other big organization did it.
WWE used to do
it about 20 years ago. Yeah, they would do that.
I remember seeing WWE did a black and white where Brock hit his head on the ring post and it split him, and they switched it to black and white.
Yeah, they were big into that back then.
Yeah, see, I feel like if you're going to dilute it like that, just you can do it without bleeding. Just take it away.
Yeah.
Because they'll do a cop show, and somebody will get shot and be like, "Oh God, blood pouring out of his leg." I know it's stage blood, but still, it's the same effect.
It's the code,
right?
But
same concept.
Sorry.
Let me give you an example. There was a movie that came out several years ago. It was a comedy about some aliens that had like invaded this warehouse wholesale store, like Sam's Club, and were preparing to invade the whole world. And the heroes figured out that their brains were in their dicks, and that if they shot them there, they could kill them, but they couldn't shoot them anywhere else. And they had to shoot them right in their dicks to kill them.
So the aliens were all male.
Yeah, it was kind of it was weird. But
just a bunch
I don't think they were technically their dicks, but that's what they looked like, right? Because they came to the conclusion they had to shoot them in the dicks. All right, now this movie was extremely gory when they were shooting the aliens, right? I mean, but the aliens' blood was green, right? And when they would shoot them, it was green everywhere. It'd splatter on the camera. It was all over the floor, everything. I'm glad I had a spit guard for that, because it looks like it just snowed on it. So anyway, the movie, when it came out, the language wasn't so bad that what I'm getting at, it was gory, but it came out as PG-13. And the reason they did it, when they first started shooting it, somebody told them, you're never going to get all this blood and gore past the MPAA they're going to hang an R rating on it, or maybe even an NC-17. And then, if it gets an NC-17, it's dead. Nobody will distribute it. So they came up with the effort. Well, let's try this. Let's make all the blood in the movie a different color, green, and see what happens. And they did it, and they got a PG-13 rating. Now, the movie was still not that successful, but there's something about, in movies and TV, the color red.
It's FCC, Matt.
Hey, Kevin Phoenix.
Yeah,
hey. I have the answer for this. It's the FCC of what has public access. So if you say you watch Live PD, which is that TV show which actually has cops, live.
Yeah.
Second that they realize someone's dead, it's blurred out.
Yeah.
They have somebody bleeding, it's blurred out. The reason they change the color, they can still keep it on public access. It's the color of, kind of like a trigger. So if you don't see red blood, it drops it down to not being real. If you blur it, you can still keep it on public access of television or a app without a login.
So
because even like the 48 Hours show, that used to be on Discovery or whatever, they would blur out all that. They would show like the bodies, but like Kevin said, like they would just be completely blurred out, even though you could kind of tell what it was. But
what it is, but as long as there's that kind of censorship, that's how they get around it.
Yeah, so
falling under standards and practices.
Yeah, and I agree with Rick Diesel. I mean, WWE does well without blood, and people get bloodied in WWE all the time the hard way. They just have a cut man at ringside, like they do in boxing, and the referee calls, "Hey, time out! We got a cut." The cut man goes over, dresses the cut, cleans it. Gets it, they don't. I don't think they sew them up at ringside. They probably stopped the match if they had to do that, but they get it to stop bleeding. Send the wrestler back in the ring. The referee says go, and they go.
Well, even with
Ricochet and got him right back in the ring.
Well, even with MMA, you might see some blood, but even on the pay-per-views and stuff. But once they start bleeding profusely, they call the bout.
Well, if the doctor,
or they call it for a stoppage.
Yeah, that's it. If the doctor determines they need to stop it, because
if it's going into their eye, they always stop it.
Well, you're also looking
they
there,
do
Reagan.
A lot. Huh?
Reagan, they're dealing with the State Athletic Commission, Boxing Commission. That's one thing I do laugh about WWE stopping due to safety of the workers these days, because they don't fall under any athletic commission anymore.
They just don't want people getting help.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing about, to me with blood as somebody who did bleed a lot, and is married to somebody who bled a lot, I could understand why people would not want to see that. I completely understand that, because it can. There's still a tag on you. It's still disturbing, and when you're dealing with something that's not a niche type of wrestling that's presented somewhere else, it is disturbing. I mean, you just. It's not comfortable. It's uncomfortable to watch if you're not used to it. It grosses a lot of people out. I mean, and you don't want to gross out, a million or however many people watch. So my biggest problem is I don't like cage matches anymore.
James Harris getting attacked by a spider.
Wait, what? What?
I thought James Harris was getting attacked by a giant spider.
The hell are you talking about?
I seen a giant spider. Oh, go ahead. I seen legs. I seen big long legs.
Rick Diesel has lost his mind finally.
Yes.
What do you mean finally?
Yes.
I'm sitting here with the infant carrier in my lap while I'm listening to y'all and, taking in everything, and I'm trying to figure out how to get the infant carrier to work, and I see a big spider.
I don't know.
You get used to him.
You may continue, Reagan.
Well, I just one of the reasons I don't mind a cage match to contain people, but in today's wrestling, I can't stand it when they put their face into the cage and grinding and then they still don't bleed.
Yeah, they don't cheese very much anymore.
Yeah, and I don't like that.